So you hold the record for the largest jury verdict in Iowa County, Wisconsin.
Yeah. I love
So
that county.
what did that case teach you about leadership, resilience, and the human element in law?
You know what? I'll tell you what. That case taught me a lot about resilience, leadership, all of it. So that case was Iowa County. The courthouse is in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, which is an interesting area. It's very far western, not far from the Mississippi River. So way west in Wisconsin. And what a neat, first off, the oldest courthouse in the state of Wisconsin, a one-room courthouse, by the way, one courtroom in that courthouse. It literally was something like out of a John Grisham novel. It literally was. And the judge was a wonderful judge in that case. And he's passed away since, but he was a really neat character. As a matter of fact, he used to be like the mayor of Madison. He was the running mate to Lester Maddox for president, actually, back in the day. Wow. Really all the things that came together in this case, it was so crazy. And, and it was a difficult case, right? I mean, it was a case where, you had an insurance company, it was a bad truck-on-truck case. My client's injury was real. Now he didn't have a lot of medical bills. Not a lot. But he had a bad back from it. He's an older man. The big thing is it cost his business. It's really what the case was about, was his business, right? And, insurance company wasn't buying it. They didn't believe it. They didn't like him. There was a lot of patience that had to be involved in it. And patience with my client, because he was kind of an ornery man, and a neat character. And it taught me a lot about just people in the law, because that particular town is it's a small town. It's not like being in a big city. So, there really was no technology in the courtroom. The American flag was flying right outside the window. Everybody on the jury pool knew everybody, literally. I'm not kidding you. It was the craziest thing. I'll never forget, we go to do this voir dire, which is where you select a jury. They bring 40 people in. And they asked, does anybody here on the jury panel, potential jury panel, know another person? Every hand went up.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, you couldn't even ask questions, because it was futile to ask questions about, well, who do you know? Well, of course they know. I mean, they literally, it was we could have just held the trial at the barbecue joint across the street. It would have been easier, I mean? It was so crazy. And because everybody just knew everybody. That's kind of how the town was. And it taught me a lot about that kind of human nature element, and it changed our strategy, right, in that trial. Our strategy became very human, and I really focused on the human aspect of my client, which he was a salt of the earth kind of guy, truck driver, owner-operator, farmer, cattle rancher, served his country in Vietnam, that kind of thing. That became the whole theme, that this guy's salt of the earth, and he's not going to bullshit you, okay? And if you think he's bullshitting you, then give him nothing, okay? But who is the corporation, That's just the bottom line. And and justly, the jury agreed with us and awarded him all his damages. So.
Wow. Well, the legal landscape's changing a lot, especially with mass tort litigation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So what would you say that entrepreneurs and business leaders need to be prepared for in this new climate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for business leaders, and something else too, on the flip side, we also do complex business litigation. So we do represent businesses on business disputes they have, usually with other businesses. It's the mass tort litigation side of it is an interesting side of it, because on the one hand, it streamlines this process, which can be good for both sides, actually, and it's proven out to be good both for the business leader owners and for the plaintiffs, depending on the case, right? On the other hand, though, it's also created this really crazy mass situation, which would be bad for both sides, right? Because they don't get their individual, so to say, day in court, right? Whether it be their individual defense or their individual claim. So there's these pros and cons of it. I think that, for business leaders, I think, and entrepreneurs, I think the most important thing is that that they're keeping, that their record keeping is really good. Like, I think that's the most important thing. I think something that's really bit a lot of corporations is kind of like these situations where they've had bad record keeping or things kind of tossed around, just like in an email and this and that. And that's kind of come back to bite them as to like, well, why was that said, or why was that done, or why was that not documented, right? Whether they're creating a new product, or what are their specs for that product and stuff. So making sure that they're managing that, and that it's almost like everything that they do is really put in a binder and really kept to be shown. These were the reasons why and how we got to that process. That's probably the best advice I could give them. And I'm coming from the other side, because that's going to show that, hey, look, we were doing this for this reason, right? Not because it was fortuitous, or like we were disregarding this. Because a lot of times, a lot of these types of cases are, hey, we knew that there was this problem, but we were disregarding that, right? We were going to put people at risk knowingly, and that happens. That happens all the time. But if that's not the reason for it, right? And I'm not. There are bad actors out there. Don't forget that. There are bad actors out there. And that's going to come up, and that's going to come to fruition. But there's also a lot of people that are just, hey, they're just trying to do the right next thing. They think this is the best process or best practice, but they didn't know it really wasn't at that moment. Then just documenting that's going to show, hey, look, I was really just trying to do the right thing, but it just didn't happen that way. And that changes, right? That changes the dynamic of it.
Hey there, it's the real Jason Duncan. Thank you for watching this video. If you are an entrepreneur and you've ever thought about what it's going to be like when you get ready to exit your business, I'm the guy you want to follow. So make sure that you've subscribed to this channel and go check out the link in the description, therealjasonduncan.com. Check out the resources I've got for people just like you, as an entrepreneur who's trying to get his life back, get her life back, get your time and freedom back. We've got a couple other videos you might be interested in. There's one here and there's one here. If that's what you want as an entrepreneur, if you're being trapped in your business, then I can help you get out of that. So go to therealjasonduncan.com. The link is in the description, and check out one of these videos. I'll see you next time.